Hi lovelies, it's Jess and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all having a beautiful week. Today I want to share with you a routine video. This is a routine I haven't done on this channel before because it is my journaling routine. And I think it's really important to talk you through the different kinds of journaling practices that I utilize and that I recommend and how to do it, because we're always told, well not always, but I personally constantly see people talking about the importance of journaling as part of your self-care practice, but it doesn't really go further than that. So I hope this video helps you all and just gives you a better understanding of the ways that you might want to integrate a journaling practice into your day-to-day routine, maybe your morning routines. So if you enjoy, let me know in the comments down below and thumbs up this video, and let's get straight into it. Alright, so I want to start off by talking about the importance of journaling and maybe sharing a little bit about my current journaling practice, and then I'll take you through the different kinds of journaling styles that there are and how to go about doing them, and also when I utilize them, because while I have a regular journaling practice, I don't really do all kinds of journaling. It's more just depending on what's going on for me, then some of them work better at certain times. So journaling for me has been really helpful, and it's something that I've really only started doing, I'm gonna say in the last maybe 3 or 4 years quite properly. And it started with free-flowing journaling, which I'll talk about in detail shortly. But that was encouraged by my dad, who also started doing it. And if he couldn't sleep at night, rather than ruminating on his thoughts, he would get up, get out a blank notebook and just scribble and rant away. And then it would just get everything off his chest. So that's how I really started. At the moment though, my journaling practice, I'm proud to say, is daily and part of my morning routine, but it's not very thorough. It's just 5 minutes in the morning, and the way that I journal at the moment, I just bought myself a beautiful new self-love journal from Musings from the Moon, and each day I can write down different acts of self-care that I'm committed to doing, my intention for the day, what I'm feeling grateful for, and even just little to-dos that I want to prioritize. And then I think I've mentioned in last week's video, perhaps, but at the end of every week, there's a little reflection exercise and a self-love activity. So I actually look back on the week that's been, and I think about what I can do differently, the sort of things that I can do for myself, and just being more mindful, because it's all written down in front of me. I can just look over it and think to myself, have I prioritized my well-being in a way that I really wanted to? Have I committed to my own self-care practice? And maybe there's some more that I can incorporate for the week ahead. So that's something that I do for myself in the mornings, usually after my meditation. And the reason that I find journaling of all kinds to be really important for your mental well-being is essentially because if you're an overthinker, like myself, which is such a challenge, I'm really head driven more so than my heart. So I really get into my head, and I can be a bit of a worrier, and not in a good worrier kind of way, like a worrier like, oh my gosh, here's everything that could go wrong in the next 5 to 10 years, and here's why I'm not going to sleep now. That kind of worrying. So yeah, just bearing it all on my channel today. But journaling essentially allows me to get everything out onto the page, so better out than in, and it also allows you to be the objective observer of your thoughts. When you've written something down and then you read over what you've written, it's very different to just thinking about your thoughts. It's very hard to be objective when the thoughts are going on inside of you. So that's one way that I've honestly found journaling to be life-changing and just full of insights. All right, so let's talk about the brain dump ranting kind of journaling practice. This is one I would really call free flow method. And like I said, this is what I learned more from my dad, because he was the one that started doing it before me. And when I would have quite anxious periods of time that I was experiencing, he was the one that recommended, well, why don't you just write and see what comes up? So essentially, It's like calling a friend and just saying, hey, I just need to rant for 10 minutes. Do you have a moment? And then just go. So you do not have to feel worried about being judged. You can write about how angry you are that someone did or said something. You can write how disappointed you are that something didn't happen for you and it happened to them. You can write how worried you are about something. If you're feeling great, you could free flow about how grateful you are, which doesn't really happen for me. I tend to free flow when I'm in a negative state of mind rather than positive, but this is a great opportunity to just let it go and get it off your chest. And the reason I find this beneficial is not just because I'm writing out all of my thoughts, but it's when I reread what I've written. That's where the golden nuggets of wisdom happen. So I'll pick up on different themes that are coming up. Maybe when I'm reading over what I've written, I am in such a state because I notice I actually feel quite powerless, or I feel really judged, or I'm really self-critical. And this awareness is what helps you move through all of your stuff and elevate your mood and actually work through it. So you've really just got to essentially get into that hole, kick and scream on the page, let it all out, and then that's where the healing starts. And one thing I wanted to mention when it comes to free-flowing methods, this has really helped me become very aware of stuff I didn't know was happening under the surface. Now, I recently read a book from Gabrielle Bernstein, and it's called Judgment Detox, and it's one of the first books that she wrote. And as you know, I'm a big fan of her work. I love her work. I have her affirmation cards and I've done her meditations, everything. And one insight that I discovered from this book, Judgment Detox, is when you are so angry at someone or disappointed at someone, or you are just in such a state, replace the word you or the person's name with I. And this was life-changing. So if you found yourself writing, you always judge me, or you're so selfish, you never let it be about me, you change that to I always judge me, I'm so selfish, I never let anything be about me, you realize the people in your life are reflections of you and they are purely mimicking your own self-worth and your own challenges. And then you realize that there's stuff under the surface that you yourself haven't dealt with. And you are the reason that you're feeling powerless. You are the reason that you're essentially allowing someone to make you feel judged. So if you are keen to read that book, I highly recommend that you do, but otherwise just try and apply that little practice to this kind of journaling activity and just see what comes up. I'm really interested to hear the impact of that exercise for you personally, because I found it to be just really challenging, really confronting, but really powerful and beneficial. This next type of journaling is a really beautiful one. It is having a gratitude practice. So for me, when I think about writing down my gratitudes, it's something that I like to do, like I mentioned, first thing in the morning. But the power of being grateful, the power of gratitudes and writing down your gratitudes, it is talked about everywhere nowadays. I feel like in the last couple of years, it's become a really big thing, and we're realizing how closely your gratitude practice and even writing down 3 things that you're grateful for can influence your own mental health and emotional state or mood. So I really encourage you to write down your gratitudes, not just to go about your day and hopefully be grateful for different things, but actually be intentional about setting yourself this gratitude practice. And you might want to have a separate notebook for your gratitudes, or like myself, maybe your journal actually has a section for it. And I find that really helpful as well, because it's just like a little prompt. But there's even journals that I've come across, and I had a journal called Year of Growth by, I think it's Annie Terasova. And if I can remember, I will link it down below. But I had this Year of Growth book and I bought it from her Etsy store 3 years ago. Actually, a friend of mine got it for me 3 years ago. And there were prompts at the end of the week, and it just asked, who can you be grateful for? Who loves you? Who do you love? What in your life do you want to cultivate more of? And so rather than just trying to think, okay, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? There were little prompts inside, and I thought that was really helpful. This next form of journaling, I really don't feel like it's covered when we talk about our journaling practice. It is something that I do, but not regularly. It's just when certain things come up. It is a dream journal. Now, I don't have a dream journal. I actually use my phone, and the reason I use my phone is this. Sometimes I will have very vivid dreams and I will wake up at like 4 in the morning and I won't be able to go back to sleep until I know I've written it down. So it's so much easier, rather than turning on the lights and disturbing Adam or my dear dog Winston, I actually just reach for my phone and I put the covers over my head and I just like half asleep type out everything that I can remember from that dream, and then I'll revisit it in the morning when I'm much more alert and refreshed. And I also like that it's just conveniently stored on my phone. But you might want to have your own separate dream journal. And the reason I write down my dreams when they're very vivid is because I personally believe, and I know a lot of people do too, but not everyone does, I personally believe that when we dream, it's our subconscious trying to work through things, and it brings it to our awareness. And anytime that the way that I basically understand my dreams is anyone that I dream of is a reflection of me. So if I dream of my most carefree, charismatic girlfriend, then that's the part of me that can be really carefree and charismatic. So if I dreamt that my best friend, who's super carefree and energetic and bubbly and everyone loves her, is really sick and skinny and scrawny and like she didn't eat for a month and I'm in shock, then to me, it's essentially my subconscious signaling, hey, you're not nurturing that carefree, bubbly part of you. You are suppressing that. And maybe that kind of a dream would happen when I'm really overworking. So I've found it really insightful to be more mindful of my dreams, and sometimes I cannot analyze them and they don't make sense, but sometimes a quick Google search of, what is the spiritual significance of seeing a kookaburra in your dream actually just clarifies it for me. And that's why I just like to be more mindful of different things that come up in my sleep. And I really don't think that kind of a journaling practice is talked about enough, but I find it to be a really lovely thing that I do. One other journaling practice you might want to add to your journaling routine, which is something that I try and do fairly regularly, it's a weekly reflection and a monthly reflection. For me, my monthly reflection, I don't really journal it. I don't write it out. It's more when I have my monthly check-in with my life coach, business coach, and we talk about the month that was, what went well, what needs changing, what's my intention for the month ahead, and how can I make sure that month supports and serves me better than the one before. But a weekly check-in and reflection is really helpful because essentially you're creating a greater awareness around your lifestyle, and you're able to move into the following week more mindfully. So a couple of prompts that you might want to write out if you don't have a structured journal and you're using a blank notebook, you might want to write down what went well, what needs changing. And another one that I really like, and again, this was from the Year of Growth journal that I had previously, was a mindful body check-in. So how is my body feeling after the week that I've had? And this one was really insightful because some weeks I would be so flat out busy, and then maybe I would have a couple of quiet days, but at the end of the week, I'm doing my weekly check-in and I'm feeling so drained still. And when I actually look back and think to myself, wait a second, Monday, Tuesday were hectic days, and on Thursday I had some really challenging stuff come up, but Friday was a self-care day. Maybe I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling because overall the week was actually quite demanding. And then I can be more intentional with how I spend the week that's coming up. So essentially that is my journaling routine in a nutshell. There's different kinds of journaling practices that I do, and I pull out different ones at different times depending on what's going on for me. And I really encourage you just to try maybe 5 minutes in the morning to incorporate some journaling into your morning routine. Maybe it's writing down your gratitudes, maybe it's a daily body check-in to see how you're feeling, or setting a little intention. But of course, if there's a lot of stuff going on in your head, then a brain dump is, for me at least, the way to go. And that really helps, in addition to making a session with my psychologist and life coach, or calling a friend or talking to Adam. I just think it's something that I can do for myself and not necessarily put all of my stuff onto someone else before having just a little bit more clarity around what is actually going on for me. So let me know what you thought of this video and whether you actually have a journaling practice already, or whether you've got some different ideas of things that you might want to do for yourself now thanks to this video. And make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you all next week with another video. Mwah! Bye!